Well, I've been proven wrong again, and honestly, I'm kind of happy about it. We'll talk about all that in a moment. I'm going to share this stream so we get everyone we possibly can in here tonight. And as I talk about that, the ambulance comes by. But we got a lot to talk about with this race. It was seeming to be a dud for a while. I will say a good amount of it, I think, was. But at the same time, you look at the way it finished. You look at who made their way up towards the end. And I got to say that, there was at least some stuff to talk about. We can talk about the new package. People I know are going to want to talk about the broadcast. But I got to say, I was surprised by the finish. I wish the race overall could have been better, but it could have been a lot worse. And so that's something I guess I'll give, if I had to give my take on it with, that's kind of just my brief little take on it. I'm going to pull up the finishing results. I have them ready to go on the little ticker we got. I just want to make sure that I get everything possible for you guys. I have the results. I just want to make sure I get all of all basically of the what should we call it? Information about it that that you would like. It was 317 laps due to going to overtime. I'm trying to find how many, NASCAR's website is so janky, man. It's hard to find everything that I would want to find. But I know it's 317 laps. I'm trying to find how many lead changes, cautions, stuff like that, runtime of the race. But like I said, NASCAR's website is kind of trash with that, and it's hard to navigate. So we're just going to go in and we're going to find, we're going to read off the finishing order, go through stuff that happened. We will get to the super chats. I promise. Be sure to lick the like button. And if you haven't already, vote on the poll. We have the poll up on the community tab. So we will get right on into this. Let's go into the finishing order of today's race. William Byron. I had said this week that what he did at Las Vegas should be relatively the norm. It should be what we expect from him. We should expect William Byron to compete for wins, maybe not every single week, but be up there and in position and be able to put himself in position, even if he doesn't have the best car, to go for those wins. And you know what? Him and Rudy Fugle today did that. They had the best car early. They did. Larson got ahead of them. They lost a little bit of control of the setup and the track, everything like that. But they kept themselves in position. Byron didn't get flustered. And ultimately, when the chips fell for that last caution, Byron and his team were there in position to take advantage of it with the two-tire call, taking advantage of Harvick not going with two tires, racing really hard with his teammate Kyle Larson before that caution came out that led to the overtime finish. I thought they were going to take each other out also when Blaney went low 3 wide. I thought for a moment that my pick of Ryan Blaney was going to be the correct one. But no, he put himself in position. I got to say, I won't say yet it's his breakout year, but 4 races in, I am pleasantly surprised with how well William Byron has run. And he looks like the driver I think we all thought he could be. He looks like the driver he started out 2022 as, a championship level driver with speed. So I will run victory laps on anything I think I can and how good my predictions have been in the past. But when they're wrong, like I was so far about Byron, I'm going to say it. I was wrong. I was wrong going into it. So I'm happy I'm wrong because I like Byron. But right behind Byron is Ryan Blaney. Second place, gets his 6th straight top 10. I believe his 3rd or 4th straight top 5. Second straight second place finish at Phoenix. If Ryan Blaney can put it together and get into the final 4, then he's going to be very, very dangerous come championship time. After him was Tyler Reddick in the 45. Great run for Reddick, a needed run for Reddick, for him to really assert himself that he's, this struggling early is not something that's set for the season. After that, we got Kyle Larson 4th. 5th place, Kevin Harvick, a heartbreaker for him. Christopher Bell, after bouncing off the wall right before the finish line, still manages to bring it home in the 6th position. Then you got Chase Briscoe 7th, Kyle Busch 8th, Alex Bowman getting a top 10, his 4th straight, the only now driver to have 4 straight top 10 finishes to start this season at what is pretty much his worst track. So great run for Alex Bowman today. Great run for Hendrick Motorsports as a whole, as Josh Berry gets a top 10 as well with a 10th place run, taking advantage of that final restart. And, you know, I had said last week that I expected Berry maybe not to set the world on fire, and he ran around that 15th to 20th all day. But the fact that he took advantage of the car he had, the strategy they had, and brought that up to a top 10, I think it's impressive. You know, that is a car that should run top 10. But we've seen in previous years that 9 car is very hit or miss even. You know, just a team overall. I won't even say Chase Elliott. Just a team overall could be, you know, going for a win one race at Phoenix, and then another race, they're bottom half top 10 in the teens. So I'd say a great way to finish off for Josh Berry. I want to read off these super chats you guys left, because you guys, you know, if you guys are paying for this, you deserve to have them read. And then we'll get into 11th on back in finishing order. Alex for 2 says, I guess Byron watched your video. Larson choked, by the way. You know what? I'm not going to take credit for that, but if I ever found out that was part of the push for it, I'm happy that it was good for that reason. But like I said, so far this year, early on, very early, we still have 32 races and the All-Star race. But very early on, it's setting up to be a William Byron, you know, blossoming season. By the way, click that like button. Let's get over 100 likes as we go through this, as we're almost at 500 viewers. Another super chat here from Wayne Montgomery for the $2 says, not bad for Team Hendrick. All 4 of them finished top 10. Yeah, exactly. At very strong showing from Hendrick. I thought the Fords would be able to mount up more of a charge throughout the day. I thought that this would help their drivers especially. But outside of, I'd say, Briscoe and Blaney, and then early on Brad Keselowski, the Fords were not really up to play outside of Harvick. Harvick was the only Ford I thought that was a race-winning type of Ford, and I think a lot of that was Kevin Harvick himself. Kevin Harvick is one of the best ever to do it and can elevate his equipment. Still, a lot more competitive than the last couple weeks, though, from Mandudo 3. Thank you for the Canadian 5. William Byron wins on birthday weekend. Briscoe gets a top 10 at least. On to tomorrow. Birthday festivities await. If it's your birthday, happy birthday, man. Happy birthday. Marky Mark, thank you for the 2. Hamlin body slamming Chastain into the wall. I didn't see the post races. I was trying to fix everything up for the stream, but let me double check. I have everything muted, so I won't get dinged for the copyright side of it. But while that is pulling up, Alex Luft for the 5. I usually love Valvoline schemes, and this one Byron had today was good. It just looks kind of incomplete around the rear quarter panels. I agree, but I think it's a very solid scheme still. All right, I'm watching the replay right now. Watching it right now. Oh, yeah, Hamlin and Chastain right in that outside wall. I was probably focused on the lead and didn't see it, even if it was on screen. So, wow, that's something. That's interesting. That's going to be really interesting. Yeah, once the broadcast ends, I get in here and set these up, so I probably didn't see it too much. I should leave it on my TV in here, honest. And then last super chat before we go back onto the results from Nicholas Gray for 2. Worst call penalty for the 10-car broken wheel. I don't think it was a bad penalty. That's just the way that they rule it. I mean, unless NASCAR distinctly says that it's not ruled a certain way, I don't know. Oh yeah, if they air it after I go live, I don't want to have the broadcast on in the background. The last thing I want to do is get taken off for copyright. But that's gonna be it's gonna be an interesting. Irvin Alvarado brings up Actron's detrimental. It's gonna be very interesting on Denny's podcast. I'm gonna leave a poll while we read the rest of this, and then we'll put everything up top for you guys to see. But let's start a poll right now. Is this Willie B's breakout season? Uh, it could be his sixth season. There's been a lot of talk of whether or not it the right fit at Hendrick, whether or not he was overrated, whatever. But early on, looking pretty solid for that 24 team. Making sure I spell everything right. There we go. And again, we also have a poll. So the options are yes, no, or too early to tell. But I'm interested to see what you guys think. So a poll is going up right now. There's also a poll in the community tab for the race itself. And while those are all being voted on, let's look at the rest of the field. Joey Logano, the 2022 NASCAR Cup Series champion who won and dominated this race last November. He finishes 11th, a pretty much non-factor all day, was fighting for his life to stay on the lead lap, it seemed like, every time he was on screen. After him, we have Ryan Preece in 12th. Then we have Michael McDowell with a solid 13th place run. Hey, I'm pretty much a McDowell fan at this point. So happy, I'm happy with that. Bubba Wallace, 14th, though he had solid speed today. Ran in the top 10 a lot. Chris Buescher with the 15th. 16th goes to Austin Dillon. 17th, Martin Truex Jr. 18th, Brad Keselowski. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 19th. And 20th, AJ Allmendinger. After Allmendinger in 21st, we have Eric Jones, Daniel Suarez, 22nd, and his streak of top 10s that had been going on all season long. After that, we have then Denny Hamlin in 23rd, and last on the lead lap, Ross Chastain, 24th. Now, a lap down was Austin Cindric in 25th, Corey LaJoie in 26th, and his top 20 streak. 27th is Haley, I believe. I read that wrong. Yeah, Justin Haley in 27th. Ty Gibbs, after being involved with Noah Gragson, who was in 29th. Both of them finish a lap down. Ty Dillon, 30th, -2. Zane Smith, -2 and 31st. 32nd goes to Todd Gilliland with 3 laps down on the day. Eric Almirola, after having the wheel fall off, finishes 4 laps down in 33rd. Cody Ware, -6 and 34th. And then 35th, Harrison Burton, 7 down, and BJ McLeod finishes out. 000 music for the two. Josh Berry, top 10. Hope to see him in a JRM Cup car. That might be the option long term. But again, very good showing for him. And I'd say that Chase Elliott is probably smiling at home watching that take place. Now, I'm going to put the post-race results up on the top ticker. The 2023 United Rentals Work United 500 results up top. If there's any problems with it, let me know, and I will do my best to cover it. I think I got everything pretty much good. If I misspell anyone's names or whatever, or if I screw up like I did between the 10th and 11th place, and I can space those out a little more. Right. You're basically seeing the production meeting with me, myself, and I on screen, but it's looking pretty good so far. But let's look into the highlights of this race. We won't show any on screen, but we do at least have them all written out on my notes, and we can go from there. Starting out, Kyle Larson led lap 1. William Byron takes control of the race, and that's honestly all we really had to talk about in stage 1. The Hendrick guys looked like they were picking up right where they left off in Las Vegas, with Byron winning stage 1, getting another playoff point to his name, and Larson in second, followed by Bell, Hamlin, Reddick, Blaney, Chastain, Harvick, Keselowski, and then Kyle Busch. Thank you, Andrew, for the 2. I wanted Harvick to win. Such a disappointing race. Yeah, I have to admit, I wanted him to win as well. But still, I think it's a good story watching William Byron do pretty well also. And this, I believe, as long as he attempts the races, which I think is a given, I believe with 2 wins, William Byron is either almost or completely locked into the playoffs. So good stuff for you, William Byron and Hendrick Motorsports fans at home. And I will talk as well about the broadcast stuff. I see people talking about it in the chat. We'll talk about that after we get to the race talk. Let's talk about the racing first. We'll get to the rest of it after. 334 Outdoors for $4.99. Fitting that the United Rentals race went to overtime. since they're the reason most construction workers are working overtime. Interesting. I'll have to read about that. I don't know too much about the sponsors, which is, honestly I probably should. Austin, thank you for the 5. Hi, Jarrett. I hope you're doing good, man. I am, and I hope you're doing well also, Austin. My question, if you can move the title race, where would you move it to? I hate the, and parentheses, I hate the playoffs. If I had to move the title race, well, you have to think about the weather, because it is going to be either last week of October or first weekend of November. So it couldn't be anywhere like Bristol. I wouldn't put it at Martinsville just because I don't think that's necessarily the right place. I think having Martinsville right before the finale is better. Wouldn't be Phoenix. I would say, honestly, move it back to Homestead. Homestead, there's I'll be real, especially talking to people who have lived in Homestead and who go to the Homestead race. I'm looking at you, John. Really nothing special about Homestead's race if it's not the finale. And obviously we saw the crowd last year. No one showed up. Great racing, though, at that track. And I think that racing with that market deserves to have a finale race. I think it deserves to have a marquee race like that, personally. So I would say Homestead. If it had to be a track that hadn't had the finale before, I know people are going to get on me about this. No, you ain't going to be crazy about it. But NASCAR wants this market so damn bad. Give it a shot, a 400-lap short track race at the new Auto Club. Give people a reason on top of just a market and the new track itself to go to it. Jacob, thank you for the 2. I'm taking Harvick at Atlanta next week. I don't know. It's going to be interesting with the Super Speedway package, and Hendrick Motorsports last year was darn good at those super speedways, especially Atlanta. I mean, William Byron won this upcoming race 1 year ago. Chase Elliott won it in the summer. Chase Elliott won at Talladega in the second race there. So I'm probably even missing some. There's too many super speedways. So yeah, they won 3 of the 6 super speedways last year for Hendrick Motorsports. So I wouldn't bet against Hendrick still, even at a super speedway. They are very strong at those tracks. They've always been, and it doesn't seem like it's changing anything. But let's go back into some of the different occurrences. Starting in stage 2, we saw the paradigm of the lead shift a little bit with Kyle Larson beating William Byron off pit road, and he didn't look back. It really was that entire run. That was Kyle Larson's run to own. Lap 118, though, Denny Hamlin starts the round of pit stops under green, and immediately everybody follows. And I found this amazing to look at. Outside of a straggler, I believe it was Austin Dillon, the pit cycle started on lap 118 with 1 car, but everyone was done with pit stops by lap 121. So it showed just how much the importance of tires was in this. But after that, there were really a couple of penalties that were of note. The biggest one being Kyle Busch too fast in the pits, as well as penalties to the 43, the 2, and the 34. But Kyle Busch being too fast in the pits after running top 10 most of the race to that point was probably the most consequential of issues there. I'm going to end the poll, though. Is this William Byron's breakthrough season? 42% say yes, 13 no, 45 say too early to tell. And then as we go through those cycles, then I'm going to go back to stage 2. Lap 139, Eric Almirola's wheel vacates his vehicle and ultimately ends any competitiveness that the 10 car had in that race. I'll get that super chat once we get through the stage 2 highlights, but I will get to it, Napa Racing Fan. After that, you have lap 157. You have the contact between Buescher and Suarez. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it might have been Briscoe, but I can't remember. But there was a guy that was up on the top side, and it was a 3-wide battle, and the 99 and the 17 damn near wrecked each other. It was about as close to a wreck as you could get without wrecking, but great driving by them. And then you get to the end of stage 2 where Kyle Larson wins, followed by William Byron, Kevin Harvick coming on at this point, Brad Keselowski with a solid run getting more stage points, then Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin, Bell, Blaney, Chastain, and Briscoe, which Briscoe Not as good as last year's race, but still pretty good in this one overall. Napa Racing Fan 927, thank you for the 5. Larson and Byron learned to not take each other out from JRM. Also, all tracks should have one date except Daytona, Talladega, Martinsville, and Darlington. One, yes, and I think, again, those are Cup drivers versus Xfinity guys. But the one date one, I would agree for the most part. I would say the Darlington one, though, the crowd in the spring race, I don't know what it is. I hope that Darlington can figure it out, because Darlington has good enough racing to be there. They have good enough TV numbers to be there. They have good enough prestige to have 2 races. Darlington needs to make sure the attendance is up to the par of that the Southern 500 is, as well as tracks that would get 2 dates. But I would say racing-wise, I agree with all 4. Now, I have another poll question for you as we're going to go into the final stage here. But I want to leave this poll about Phoenix. Do you think... I want to see now, after a race like this, with a good finish, which is probably the finish NASCAR would really want the championship to have. I want to see what you guys think, since we just talked about it. Do you think Phoenix should keep the finale past 2023? Yes or no? Asking the community now. Poll is up. By the way, while we're all in here, just want to let you know the NASCAR Weekly Podcast is on Eric Estep's channel this Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time. And then we will be live after the Cup race. I don't know what we're going to do for the doubleheader yet. I don't know if we're going to go live after the truck race between the Xfinity race, or if we're just going to go live after only the Xfinity race. We'll be live after Xfinity. As long as there's not rain or anything that's keeping me up till like 3 in the morning. But I'm really, I will figure out how we're going to do that. By the way, also for any of you iRacing fans, the NASCAR Cup Series will be not this Tuesday, but Tuesday the 21st on IDK Players channel. Nashville Fairgrounds, race 4, championship battle really heating up. 19 guys with 7 races remaining within 1 race. Top 4 within 11 points. It's going to be really fun. We got the new Gen 4 that has 950 horsepower. I'm going to be co-commentating. Going to be a lot of fun. And wow, that is a lopsided poll. By the way, click that like button while you can. Let's get 200 likes. Subscribe if you're new here. We've been getting a ton of new people coming in, and I love doing these streams. I can tell a lot of you guys are new coming in. So bring it on. Subscribe to the channel. We're closing in on 61.2. I think we're like only 40 or so away from 61.2. I'm going to end the poll right now after 209 votes. 90% of you are saying, well, 89% on that, but it's actually 90% saying no, 10% saying yes, that Phoenix should keep the finale past 2023. Now follow that up. Let's start another poll really quick. Who should get the finale? Because I mean, it seems like this is the way that a lot of people are going with it. So I'm going to add 4 options to this one just to see. I know, let's see, Homestead's one people have talked about. Martinsville, people have talked about. New Auto Club. And then for just pure chaos, put in Daytona. Let's see how many people want just pure chaos out of this. Let's go to the final stage, though. Final stage, Kevin Harvick, at this point, leapfrogs the 24 car up to the 2nd position. And from there, it's on between the 5 and the 4. In the chat, I like this comment from Will England. Says, even with the improved package, Phoenix is still a very mediocre track. Phoenix races with the Gen 6 were just as boring. I agree. I think it's a Phoenix thing. And I honestly think that they should have just kept it as Phoenix was pre-2011 reconfiguration. I think the way it was before then was just fine. But this is what it is. Can't change it now. After that, with 68 to go, we get the final green flag pit stops. And this is where we get Daniel Suarez speeding. This pretty much nukes any chance Suarez had of getting that 4th straight top 10. He had been running around, like, you know, I don't know, like maybe 9th to 12th. But at that point, it was just over. But Harvick does some short pitting, which catches him a couple seconds up to the 5 car. Even if the short pitting was by like a lap, the tire fall off was immense throughout the run. And at that point, the only other strategy we're looking at is Eric Jones staying out in hope of a caution. It didn't work, but I got to commend the 43 team for trying. But with 44 to go, Harvick takes the lead after gaining on Kyle Larson. And I got to give a credit, too, to Clint Boyer for a lot of energy in the booth with the call. We've been critical on this show, on the NASCAR Weekly podcast about Fox booth, and we will be critical still after we talk about the racing. But I want to give a big shout out to Clint Boyer breaking through the Crank It Up segment to give the fans what we want, what we need to hear. I was pumped up with that call, personally. I thought it was a really good call. But at that point, Harvick starts to get further and further away. And then you start hearing little things back and forth. Like, for instance, 12 to go, Kyle Busch had tagged the wall, but there was no caution. It was a brief little, scratch on the wall, but nothing big. But with 11 to go, Harrison Burton spins past the start-finish line. Caution comes out. I'll say I like also that the booth was very critical of NASCAR, even though I think NASCAR made the right call, just because it's nice and refreshing to hear the booth say something. But it was the right call. There was smoke covering the track. They didn't know if he would go back up the track. And then on top of that, he had a shredded tire. You got to call a caution for that. Whether it's a quick yellow or not, it's still I think it's a pretty right call. But when they go on pit road, this is where the entire race changes when they pit. The 4 car takes 4 tires. I personally think as a leader, it's about the only thing you can do. If you take 2, all the fast cars are going to take 4. Especially with Byron right there, they can call an audible and take 4. So I would say, the 4 team was put between a rock and a hard place. If you're the leader, you're going to be the odd one out. There's going to be people taking chances against you. And I'm surprised, though, still by it. Because we had talked about after Las Vegas that teams seem to not take those chances anymore. But this week they did. Guys like Byron and Larson, Blaney, Hamlin, Kyle Busch, and I believe 1 or 2 others took 2 tires. And ultimately, with 3 to go, you have the restart. You have the wreck between last year's Xfinity Championship contenders and Allmendinger, Gibbs, and Gregson. But then you have the final green-white checker. You have the battle between the Hendrick boys and Blaney, and then you have Reddick with the defining move that pretty much sends Byron to the victory lane with the bounce down the straightaway. And William Byron gets his second win of 2023. Thank you, Need for Speed 5353 for being a member. I promise, like I said, I would say probably after Easter, before my marathon and North Wilkesboro weekend, I'm going to be doing some member-only streams or post stuff for you guys. Let's end the poll right now and see the results. Who should get the finale? 68% said Homestead, 10% each for Martinsville and Daytona. New Auto Club with 9. That's after 274 votes. So really cool to see that you guys all want Homestead. Mr. King says Bowman is a championship contender. With the consistency he's had and the fact that him and Blake Harris probably are going to get more chemistry, I'd say yes. I think so. I think Blake Harris is a great crew chief. I think Bowman is a very underrated talent. So I like that. Honestly, I like that assertion. Okay, let's go to the broadcast. People want me to talk about it. I've seen people talk about Keyboard Warriors. Seen people talk about Mike Joy, Clint Boyer, Danica. I'll say this. I think Danica this week felt a lot more comfortable in the booth than she did last week. Like from the get-go. She got stuff wrong. She wasn't great. I'm not advocating for Danica Patrick to be in the NASCAR booth every week. What I'm saying is she was serviceable for being a guest. Now, Clint Boyer, I thought was the best in the booth today. I thought he had the best energy. I thought he, and still wasn't perfect, but I don't think any broadcaster is. But I think Clint Boyer was much, much better than people probably will give him credit for. Let's get to the quote that everybody's going to want me to talk about. And this, what sucks is this is going to be the number 1 quote. Hey, Danny, yes, I agree with that statement on Bowman. Yeah, I already know Danny's hot take, or takes at least, will be something about Bowman. this week. It's gonna be fun. But what's up, Danny? Let's get to, unfortunately, what will be the most quoted thing from this race, which sucks because you'd wish the racing was better. We'll talk about the package right after that as well. But Mike Joy calling out all of us keyboard warriors about the commercials. There's two ways you can look at it. Well, three ways, I think. One way is, haha, he got him. That's a total own. I don't think it's that. There's another way I saw people talk about it that actually is a more positive way to just a halfway point with it. And that one is the fact that, hey, people from Fox, Mike Joy, they can see, they're just not addressing it. But they can see, and that's the first step. Is there at least, well, I'm not saying addressing it. They did address it in a way. And I think that's a good way to look at it. It's a nice way to look at it. It's not very often that get assurance that the networks are listening. And Mittens is the keyboard warrior, according to Chris McIntyre. Maybe it's Mittens. Mittens back from the grave. And then there's kind of the way I take it. The way I took it was, I thought it was funny. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I did think it was funny. Just because I disagree with how something is stated, or if something is stated, doesn't mean I can't acknowledge it was pretty funny. I see Allie Miller in the chat saying it's pretty funny. See a lot of people saying. But I'm kind of with Need for Speed 5353 on this. It's kind of like, okay, Boomer, like, like you're not really owning us by telling us that it's going to be, the thing that we hate most, and that it's under your skin. That's what it read to me, is it's gotten under Fox and Mike Joy's skin, which, you learn this in any kind of broadcasting school. I've had to learn it on the fly when I stream with IDK on broadcast, is you cannot let the audience dictate in any way the broadcast. You can't let them dictate how you talk about it, think about it, whatever. It might have been a savage delivery, like Blue Jimmy said, but it's still very cringy. I mean, what other sport do you really have the person commentating on TV calling out the audience watching? It is a very Boomer-esque, like, okay, Boomer kind of deal. But I will say, at least Fox sees it. I'm saying don't let up. Like, just because he said something funny, don't let up. But to me, it was very childish for the standard we would hold Mike Joy to. But if you disagree, it's okay. That's fine with it. I'm trying to think of a fun poll to do with this one. I see NASCAR Shill says Fox is a great partner of our sport. Please do not criticize them. We will fine you for actions detrimental to our sport otherwise. That's pretty funny, honestly. I love that NASCAR Shill account. It's funny as hell, man. It's pure parody without being offensive in any way. Like, I think it's awesome. Napa Racing Fan 927 for 2. NHRA shouldn't have been pushed to FS2 for race day. Damn. FS2. Ooh. Yeah, I agree, because NHRA has a bigger following than people think. Blue Jimmy, could a possible factor be the influence of us YouTubers and influencers? I don't think my influence goes all that far. I don't think really anyone on YouTube's goes all that far. I just tell you what I say, or what I think. But I like I said, I think it was funny. It was pretty funny. I just think Mike Joy's above that personally. But hey, again, agree, disagree. I'm completely fine with it. I'm not pissed about it. I'm not pissed if anyone disagrees with me. It's fine with me. I just think the thing is that NASCAR needs to evolve its business model, and the networks need to. I don't understand why people are getting mad at Mike Joy for it. Like I see people in the chat saying he can't help when they have commercials. That is not Mike Joy's job to put commercials on screen. I don't understand people getting mad about that either. It's just a bad situation all around. I'm hoping with this new contract, the business model for all parties involved can change a bit, so that we can get to the modern day with coverage. NASCAR coverage needs to be state of the art if the sport is to grow, and I think that people should bring it on as well. They should bring on those takes as well, I should say. World Baseball Classic fans, I now know what that is, by the way. We're mad at us. We were mad at NHRA. Okay. The best was TNT with Benny Parsons. Oh, I loved Benny Parsons. I love BP. I always loved him to be like the duck. I agree with Scott, though, in the chat. Fox does need a new director. Cutting to crank it up when there's a battle for the lead should not happen either. I thought that was bad. The camera work was not great today, or at least what cameras they chose to. The camera work itself, I think, was fine. It's Fox's decision of what ones to go to. But again, attaboy to Clint Boyer for cutting into crank it up, telling us about the action when we need to hear about it. That is the stuff I like to see from broadcasters. That's something I would see, a Dale Jr. doing, or a Steve Letarte doing, someone at NBC. And you know what? If NBC has these same problems, then we're going to call them out here too. I do not discriminate based on the person bringing us the broadcast. But enough on that. Let's kind of look forward a little bit. Like I said, we got the NASCAR Weekly Podcast this week. We'll talk more and more about it on there with Danny B Talks, Black Flags Matter, and Eric Estep, whose channel it will be on 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday night. Well, let's talk about Atlanta coming up. Oh, Skipper, how's it going for 10? I thought the race was okay. Not nearly as bad as some are making it out to be. Some of you should go back and watch some of the races from the 90s when Gordon would lead 80% of the laps. Yeah, I don't think it was the worst. I think people are overreacting on that. It's Phoenix. We all knew going into Phoenix it was Phoenix. If this was Las Vegas or Kansas or Charlotte, who have shown good racing the last couple years, especially with the next gen, I'd be more upset. Dislocation for 10. I'm not mad at Mike Joy, but he's having more gaffes, and your take is getting hooter, or you probably mean hotter, Iceberg. I take no pride in that, though. I want Mike Joy to be the best because I love watching and listening to Mike Joy. Second part of this, though, but NASCAR fans being mad that they can't, or they want to watch a race without commercials is kind of disappointing. Wait, but NASCAR fans being mad that they want to. Is it disappointing? I'm sorry, maybe I'm just misinterpreting it here. Is it disappointing that fans want to watch commercial free, or that Fox can't give it? Either way, it's just not a great situation all around. It sucks. And then thank you, Eric W., for gifting another 10 memberships. We're going to be going hard on this for all of you new members. We're going to be going nuts when it comes to bringing new stuff to you. Michael Kelly Gilliam, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships as well. That's awesome. You guys are awesome. You guys are doing great. We're definitely doing member-only stuff pretty soon because of the absolute generosity you people are showing. It's honestly, it means a ton to see. Wow. Oh, hi, Chase Elliott. Apparently there's a Chase Elliott in the chat. And then thank you, Need for Speed 5353 for another gifted one. That's awesome. I see lots of croissants in my face and a Dale call in the chat from Marler TV. Mr. Sir. Yeah, leave everyone. Let's spam the chat with croissants if you're a member. Spam the croissants in the chat. Let's see it. The croissant. But let's look forward at Atlanta. Atlanta is a super speedway coming up. We're going to see the very narrow super speedway. But it's races different still. You have now a new rule coming in place. You have to enter the pits coming in turn 3. I think it's just under green. Might not be, though. Just to, in an effort to avoid crashing onto pit road because it's very abrupt. That's going to be different. Very, very narrow super speedway compared to Daytona and Talladega. So you're probably going to see double file racing for the most part. Not much 3 wide, maybe until the end. And then from there, I think you got to look at the Hendrick guys. You got to look at the 24. You got to look at the 48, probably even the 5. Maybe Josh Berry comes up there and has a pretty good run and gets a win. I don't think so. I think he'll help his teammates more, but the Hendrick guys are strong at super speedways. The Fords are, for the most part, strong at super speedways. RCR is going to be strong. Those are the guys I think you got to look out to this next week. JT Jorger, thank you for the 5. They need a sponsor like F1 with limited commercials. It has spoiled me. That's the thing. Yeah, I think F1's changed the game for fans. And then Dislocation says, my bad, I messed up. Don't text and drive, kids. Oh, no, it's all good. All good, man. But thank you for the extra 5. I saw NASCAR All Outs in the chat. Love your channel, man. Earnhardt made a good point recently. A fixed roof cam shot allows you to track how loose and tight a car is through the corner as opposed to a panning shot. I agree. I think that's a very simple fix, I think, too. Just keeping stationary roof cams. Simplicity can really help elevate, I think, broadcast. Jacob asking, did I see that Josh Berry got a top 10? Yes, I did, and I'm very impressed by it, and I'm happy for it. Alex asking about McDowell supremacy. McDowell running well at Atlanta? Maybe. We might see it. I mean, let me see if I can bring this out without knocking a bunch of crap down. Seen it before. We've seen this before, where Michael McDowell will run well at a super speedway. So I'm somewhat hopeful. There's a lot of dust. Gotta take this thing out more. But yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting. I'm hoping the racing will be better than last year. I'm not a fan of Atlanta as a super speedway personally, but if it helps the sport, it helps the sport. I'm not gonna complain if it brings more people to the track or more people watching on TV. An Appalachian fan, I see you tag me there. Is there any chance of just having one Atlanta Super Speedway date on the schedule in the future? I don't think so. I think with super speedways and the way that fans come in droves for super speedways, I think you're going to keep 2. Plus, the renovations cost so much for SMI. I think it's all part of the deal to keep it a 2-race deal, honestly. NASCAR Alert says the 6 car once again not getting the finish he deserves. I agree. I think Brad Keselowski is going to be more solid through the year. He's just got to get some luck, whether it be on cautions or whether he not get penalized or whether someone not hit him. I think Brad Keselowski is going to be a lot quicker through the year. NASCAR Shill. Atlanta is a great track. The decision to reconfigure is a great one. Thank you, Steve Phelps. I'm sorry. I don't know why, but that account just hits my funny bone. Very well done. Very well done. Looking at some of the others here. Rwix123. Josh Berry is driving a Hendrick car. He should be better than decent. I think long term, yes, but he again, the experience he's had in the next gen is, I think, minimal. So I think he needs an adjustment period. Will I purchase the Ross Chastain wall ride car once it's available? I think I will. Is William Byron trying to impersonate Carson Hocevar? Yeah. What? Can someone explain to me the big hat thing? Because I'm not in the loop on it. Sam V, are we doing a late show? I mean, we're gonna probably come off here in a little bit, but not too much. I'm not gonna go too awful late tonight. I gotta watch The Last of Us season finale tonight, and I've really enjoyed that show. Again, by the way, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new here. We're going to be doing this after just about every race I'm not covering in person, as long as possible, as well as many Xfinity and truck races as we can, possible. And then also NASCAR Weekly Podcast. It'll be on the top of the screen on Eric Estep's channel this Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. But let's look at the last couple of different comments in the chat, and then I think we're gonna head on out tonight, and we'll all have a really good night. We'll get you out of here before the top of the hour, I promise. Jacob Watts says, I like your videos. Do keep them up. I will, probably 3 to 4 a week as we've been doing. Got a good one about a fun, well, not fun, but a very memorable Atlanta race for many ways. That'll be the next video. That isn't news related. That should be out, I think, on Tuesday or Wednesday. So I see some in here saying other, like it's an NFL thing. Some are saying Gregson. Very interesting to see all that. Napa Racing Van's bold prediction is Haley Deegan will contend for the win in the Truck Series. That's very bold. Jonathan says Denny Hamlin fast this year, but needs to finish inside the top 5 more. I agree. I had that problem at the start of last year, and just finishing well in general. But I think I agree. Louis Intro says Chastain got Hamlined. Yes, he did. Let's see. Thank you, Irvin Alvarado, for sharing. By the way, if you want to send in for the NASCAR Weekly Podcast your top 75 Cup driver list, let's say it was Cup driver list. Send it to weeklypodcastguest@gmail.com. And we will include it in, and again, leave different reasonings too for different drivers on why you think they deserve a certain spot or not. And we will aggregate them all together and make it part of our top 75 drivers list for NASCAR 75th season. We'll be doing that in May. The deadline is, I want to say, April 19th to get it in. After that, we won't be accepting any more. April 19th is the deadline to get it in by. I believe your top 75 list on weeklypodcastguest@gmail.com. I'm going to put that in the chat right now. And up it goes. And I'm going to pin that too. We're going to pin that message, make sure that y'all can see it, so that you can jump on in, have some fun with us. Again, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I think that about covers everything tonight. We're going to be live on Wednesday night, live after, at the very least, the Cup race, probably the Xfinity race. I don't know about trucks just yet. Thank you, Eric W., for another 10 gifted memberships. I appreciate it. It really means a lot. Wow, that that means a lot. We've had 22 new members now in this stream alone. I think it's a good spot to end off on. My or 27 it's now saying. Numbers keeps going up. But my computer is still catching fire, and I got the fan on and everything. But we will be live on Eric's channel Wednesday night. We'll be doing videos all week. And we will we'll be doing a lot of post-race coverage. But thank you guys all for coming in. It means a ton. But I think that covers it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, have a good one. Night, everybody.